All right, folks, let's call this regular council meeting of July 14th in order at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, I will declare that we do have a quorum. And of course, before we get rolling here this evening, as we gather, these on lands that are rich in Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit, Métis, and Anishinaabe Cree peoples. And on behalf of council and the entire community, we'll recognize the territory reference of the Deadwood Nation and thank them for the continued friendship. That, Madam Clerk, I'll call for the agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council meeting of July 14th, 2026 be adopted.
Okay, moved by Councilor Reimer and Councilor Desvito.
Yes,
Any additions or deletions? Clerk?
if I can, Mr. Mayor, I did have a conversation with Councillor Reimer prior to the meeting starting, and there were 4 additions that Councillor Reimer would like for council to potentially entertain, if I can name them.
Okay.
Item number 1 would be under agenda item 11.1, and this would be regarding the quarterly budget variance reports. Item number 2 would be under 11.2, and it would be regarding quarterly operations reports. Item number 3 would be under agenda item 12.2, regarding the rescoping of the 2nd Street project. And item number 4 would be under agenda item 12.3, regarding an update on the treasurer position.
Before I go into any details on those, any objections to council? Councilor Shadamian? Okay, so you're objecting without any questions? Okay. No.
Apologies. I have no objection, which is why I agree. No objection.
On the treasury report, Mr. Reimer, I'm not sure what details you're looking at getting into, but if we're going to get into details on candidates and so on, then we'll need to move into close on that. Is that something you intend to do?
Yeah.
Is that something you intend to do, is get into those kinds of details?
No, I just wanted an overview of where we're at in the process.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
kind of an update.
So let's keep an eye on one, Madam Clerk, and if we need to shift it, we will.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Are there any objections from council? Any other additions or deletions? Seeing none, moved by Councilor Reimer, second by Councilor Desvito. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, the vote's online. We're both in favor? Yep. Thank you. Okay, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Councilor Shadamian.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to declare a conflict on item 15.2. That's the bylaw to adopt the operating capital water and wastewater budget estimates for 2026 operating year. And that is because my employer offers some of these capital and wastewater services, and out of an overabundance of caution, I'm going to declare an indirect pecuniary interest.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I captured the reason for the conflict.
Okay. With that, then, if there are any other declarations, we're ready to delegation. This evening, we do have a delegation with us from Eastlink for presenting a new mobile service that they want to provide to the community. Amanda, I believe your name is?
Yeah.
What up, Amanda? I'm not sure if you've done presentations at council before, but you have 10 minutes to make a presentation to council, and at that point, council will have a dialogue with you back and forth on any questions for clarity that you may have. And there may not be a resolution passed for that. There may be a deferral to the municipality, what have you, but those are basically the parameters. Any questions at all?
No.
All right, well, welcome to conference. We
Sure.
appreciate making the effort to come out here and look forward to your conversation.
It's my first trip to Cochrane, so this is exciting that I get to present in front of all of you as my first trip. So, pardon?
From?
Sudbury, Ontario.
Oh,
Yes.
from Romans.
Yes, thank you. So with the launch of our new mobile services here in town, that's what brings me into this area, wanting to kind of share the good news of what Eastlink has been doing. My understanding is that everybody has a copy of the presentation that was shared as well with you. So we're just going to kind of run through a little bit of that. We'll skip over some of the table of content stuff, but the MVNO is an exciting opportunity for Eastlink. So what MVNO means is mobile virtual network. So what that allows us to do is be able to partner with existing national telcos that have spectrum. Eastlink has spectrum in the area as well, and we are able to sell mobile services now in these areas. The reason that MVNO was formed and launched in 2023 and was opened up was CRTC mandated that it helps drive competition within the communities that we service. And by competition, we typically see prices actually decrease for consumers. So that is the goal here, is to be able to help drive down price in the area so that consumers have an opportunity to make a choice on who they would prefer to be associated with for their mobile services. So Eastlink has a long-standing reputation in the community, and we have great market share in this area in particular. So now what that allows our existing customer base to do is to be able to bundle their services and be able to have an opportunity to save even more money, not only on the mobile side, that they're now be a part of the Eastlink family on the mobile side, but also on our wireline services. So that's MVNO as a whole. The way that we market to our existing customers in the area is that all of our existing customers were notified that MVNO was launching in Cochrane. So they would have all received marketing emails. And then as well, our team is going to be present in the community. So next week, we have a member of our team. Her name is Wendy. She will be set up at the new Comfort Inn in town for 3 days, and residents can come in and ask questions, whether that's on their existing services that they have or to inquire about mobile services as well. We plan on doing quarterly pop-up sales events in the community so that we are more present in the community. We also have our door-to-door team that is currently knocking in the community to let homeowners know that the services are now here in the area. And then as well, we also come into town and we wanted to make sure that we were doing something that benefited the community. So there was a sponsorship that was made in order to help, I believe it was the Cochrane Heritage Days next weekend. So that's something that we look at doing. And that's kind of the pattern that we follow when we do these types of launches to ensure that we are part of the community, because that's what we want to do, is we want to be part of the community. So in a nutshell, that is pretty much what MVNO means and what Eastlink is doing in the community. So over the next 7 years, the way that MVNO works is that you have to build your own towers within those 7 years. So the revenue that's generated from our mobile sales in the area will be reinvested into the community, and we will have our own towers in the next 7 years here. So that is essentially the presentation. So if there's any questions that any of you have, I'd be happy to answer them.
In council? Sorry.
Just a quick question. When we're talking about towers, are you in discussions to co-locate on existing towers?
They would be our own towers within the next 7 years. So they would have to build and plan and go through that process over the next 7 years.
Supplementary. Yep. So there's no option to place your equipment on existing towers?
That's a great question. I can take that back to our engineering team and I could be able to send a follow-up email with that information.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the interim, the 7-year interim?
So over the next 7 years, basically we have partnerships with Bell, Telus, Rogers, existing major telcos that we're able to essentially use their towers in this. So each telco has to have spectrum in an area in order to be able to sell in an area. So we've had the spectrum, we just didn't have the resources available with being able to have the towers. So now that the MVNO project has launched with CRTC and that it's government mandated, we can basically correlate with those telcos in order to be able to service individuals. So when you're on the Eastlink network, you are roaming on the best towers that are in the area. Now, you don't pay for those roaming charges, but what it allows you to do is have increased connectivity throughout the entire province. So as you're traveling anywhere, coast to coast, essentially, that you're able to roam off of the towers that Bell has, Telus, Rogers, whoever that agreement is with in those areas. So in this area, Rogers and Bell are the partnered towers.
Okay.
Just a final comment. There's increasing concern over more and more towers being put up, and just for lack of a better word, we like the connectivity, but we hate the eyesore. And so So that would be just a strong consideration to see if there perhaps some legislation needs to be introduced that would allow co-location of your equipment on existing towers just to maintain the landscape and people's view of the water.
Absolutely. That's definitely something I can take back to the engineering team.
Mr. Nelson?
Through your worship, just a quick question. How do you pick locations? Do you put it out looking for spaces and have property owners reach out?
For locations for the towers. Also a great question. That would be something to follow up with my engineering team. So they're going to be the ones that make those types of decisions. I'm in a sales and marketing role, so unfortunately well above my pay grade in order to make that recommendation. But that's definitely something that they would be considering as they go through that process. Absolutely.
Anyone else? Sir,
Online.
Councilor Burnett? Yep. Councilor
Through you,
Burnett?
Mayor, just a question as well. I know you guys have a 7-year plan. Maybe it would be nice to, if it'd be possible, to share that 7-year plan with us as far as like we're all asking the questions, same questions. Where are the potential locations of these towers and where they would go? Just to have that full picture of where you are going to be, bringing this as well to the community.
Okay. If there are any other questions for council, we appreciate the presentation and the potential service and look forward to the unfold.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present in front of all of you, and I will follow up with an email with our engineering team.
Great.
Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, we have a resolution associated to that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, can I read it?
Please.
Be it resolved that council received a presentation from Eastlink regarding the launch of Eastlink mobile network in Cochrane as information.
Okay, moved by Councilor Nelson,
Yes, Your Worship.
second by Councilor Costa.
Yes.
In favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Favor.
All right, minutes, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, be it resolved that the draft minutes of the emergency council meeting held on June 23rd, 2026, and the draft regular council meeting held on June 30th, 2026 are hereby adopted.
Okay, moved by Councilor Costa,
Yes, Your Worship.
second by Councilor Reimer.
Yes, Your Worship.
Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none, I believe we have a consent agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, be it resolved that the consent agenda items listed on the July 14th, 2026 council agenda be received and that the motions contained therein be approved and duly reported as presented.
Okay, moved by Councilor Nelson,
Yes, Worship.
second by Councilor Esposito.
Yes, Your Worship.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Yep. 12.1.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that resolution number 2026-89 be rescinded due to legislative changes made to strong mayor powers under Part 6.1 of the Municipal Act as set out in Old Reg 30-22 concerning restrictions during the lame duck period, and that the clerk shall determine whether council, including the mayor, is in the lame duck period in accordance with the legislative timelines following nomination day and election day, and shall advise the public accordingly.
Okay, moved by Councilor Esposito, second by Councilor Koski.
Yes.
Okay, anything you have to take away from the department?
Mr. Mayor, the reason this has come back in front of council is prior to the ministry making amendments to the Municipal Act with this old reg. Council had made a decision that they would follow the advice of legal counsel and that a strong mayor would not be susceptible to the Restrictions Act. However, the minister did make the change through this OREG and has now stated that the strong mayor powers is also affected by the Restrictions Act, which means that the resolution then would no longer be permitted. So this is why this has come before council to rescind that resolution, that we will no longer follow legal counsel and we will follow through with the new legislative change.
Okay, and I believe this is consistent with your report in the last council meeting. Council meeting.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any questions from council? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll jump back to 11.1 now, Brett.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Just keep your toes.
Yes, I apologize for that.
Oh, that's my fault.
So I don't have a resolution.
Okay, so 11.1 is an item that's added to the agenda by Councilor Reimer, and it is the quarterly budget variance. You want to speak to that, Councilor Reimer? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and members of council. As I was going through the agenda, I realized that we're now in the middle of July, and there was a few things missing, and so I just wanted to just ask the CEO exactly where we're at as far as our financial reporting, as far as reports to council, and just kind of the overall reporting that the town should be doing. I know there's going to be questions soon about the 2025 audit, stuff like that. And so I just wanted to just put forward that question and see maybe if we could get a commitment as to when, for example, the quarterly variance report, if that could be ready for the next meeting or something like that. And just wanted to just pose that question and see where we're at.
Yes, absolutely. So we're still adjusting from the loss of the treasurer. I'm the treasurer now, so we're working on assigning resources. We're still looking to acquire some of those resources, but I'm hopeful that we'll have an interim assistance to be able to get into the VATM software and mine it for the data that we need. We know the data is there, and we need some training for our senior managers and that interim support that is poised to be here within weeks. So the good news is we can get the variance reporting moving in the coming weeks, and certainly by August 14th for sure. But I would, important to talk, I don't want to scoop the operational reporting, but we would need to, as a management team, determine what and work with council as to what level of stats and information should be interested in seeing, and what's a mutually acceptable level of effort to get that data in front of you. My understanding is the previous CAO started the variance reporting, and of course I support variance reporting, but there's no real detailed policy that outlines what type of information council wants to get. So we're looking at assembling that now. Variance reporting is basic, of course, so we've got to get that moving in the next few weeks, hopefully with that interim treasurer type of assistance. In the meantime, we're just working on the day-to-day and making sure that the processes will go ahead and payroll and all the bills are paid, which is actually working reasonably well, and working with the staff. So we really just need to get the training and that interim support to be able to look under the hood and get data to council in a effective manner. And we're only days, weeks away from being able to do that.
So there is a budget policy that identifies quarterly reports and the information that's supposed to be inside those quarterly reports, which I believe is what Councilor Ryan is referring to, of which this council's received 2 quarterly reports the entire term, 16. So that's what I think he's referring to, and that's a bit of the frustration with council. And then there's also support of council. Council understands and wants to work with the operation, but the finances of the municipality are the paramount fiduciary responsibility the public service council has. And like I said, and I think that's what you're referencing. We've had 2 reports in this entire term. I'm supposed to be in full, and the information I understand is inside that policy in terms of which.
Yeah, and just you worship. There's also just want to make sure that there's no other reporting that is falling behind that might impact the town's ability to receive funding or to be eligible for funding, stuff like that. That's also tied in with the audit process. So I just looking for a little bit of assurance that there's plans in place to make sure that the 2025 audit things are in place for that, and any other reports. That is there anything outstanding now that you're aware of that might impact the town's ability to receive any funding?
Well, yes, of course, our asset management plan needs a lot of work to get that going. So that's a concern, and we're working on that right now to get the milestone reporting into the province for a couple of those. The audit will be postponed until we have such time as the resources. So we're working on that, but it's still a moving progress. So I know I can't give you the assurances that you're looking for because we're still working to try to recover from that and pull the resources we need to get the data in front of council and for our management team to ensure that they have best way possible. But it's going to require that interim resource to be able to work with our auditors when that time comes, which is probably this summer, but we're working on that right now. But we also have other pressures that are less exciting to look at, like insurance renewals that are coming, and that's a lot of work for the treasury staff. So struggling, but we're maintaining levels of service, and then we just need to get that final data mining out of the software that we have, and we just need that switches with dates.
Okay. So one final thing. A few meetings ago, there was raised there was a significant issue with cash flow. I take it that those cash flow issues have been resolved and those issues are now well in hand.
Yes, largely resolved. I don't have the same level of heartburn around cash flow that we had seen months ago over the winter with the evacuations. There were some struggles, but we are catching up, and that seems to be progressing well. In our check recs and our EFTs are going out. So I'm less concerned about cash flow right now until such time as we can get that into resource.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, council, on the quarterly budget variance reports? Councillor Kowalski and Councillor Nelson.
Mr. CEO, have you acquired access to all the files that the previous treasurer was working on?
Yeah, yes, I have all the electronic files of the previous president.
Yeah, you can look into everything that was done.
And I have access to the software systems.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Nelson.
To you, Worship. So the asset management plan, I've heard that come up a few times over the past while. Is during your last employment anywhere, how did you get this done? Was there something particular that you did with your team to get things?
My experience, every asset management plan has either been engineering based exercise or an accounting based exercise. It's a little of both, of course, because you need to manage it too. And then if you have an outside source, the consultant will either be an auditing firm or an engineering firm. So, so that's, but we have been doing that in house, and we have done a lot of work. A lot of work has been done on the public works side, the infrastructure side, and now again back to the treasury capacity. We need to get that embedded into the financial software, which we have, and we also have asset management software. So we have the tools. We're just a little short on the resources to pull it together, but we're looking for those resources right now. And it's the same skill set, of course, for asset management on the accounting side to be able to pull the data that's coming from Mr. Gomez's department. So we're getting there. It's slow until we can get that horsepower from the little extra interim support that should be able to push us over the finish line to get some of those milestones knocked off for the asset management. And there's two pieces in my worldview of asset management. There's the asset management plan that we have to do to provide to the province to ensure that we continue to get the grants. And then there's a piece that's always been missing is how do you get that asset management plan a functional, useful tool for budgeting and resource allocation. And that's a whole other animal. Right now, we're focused on hitting those milestones to get the province to check that box. And then we need to, as a management team and the income council, try to understand how can we make this tool useful for us when we have to make those decisions of rural roads versus urban roads. So we're not there yet, but the good news is there's a lot of behind the scenes work happening. We just have to start stitching it up.
And sir, Pastor.
When it comes to asset management, it's a little annoying considering that we've been talking about this for 8 months or 10 months about asset management. Without the asset management up to date, we are not in line for a lot of funds, government funds. So we talk about having horsepower, and we've been talking about horsepower for almost a year, so I wish somebody would get on the horsepower thing and get this done, because it's been dragging for a long time. It doesn't impress me whatsoever, but hopefully it's gonna get done sooner than later so we can move on. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none. 11.2, which would be the quarterly operations report. Again, Councillor Reimer, followed by yourself.
Yeah, similar to my observation and concerns on the financial report. So through you, and I'm not sure if it's to the CEO or to Mr. Gomez. I'm just wondering if maybe there's nothing filed, but could we get maybe just a bit of an oral update as to where we're at with operations and some of the capital projects that we've approved.
Defer that to Mr. Gomez to, speak to the operations this summer, this construction season, which is kind of what you're getting at.
To Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Ron. So just to make sure that the council is aware, both the reports for both quarters were submitted on time for council to receive. With that information, is there any particular project that the council would like to update on? Because there's lots of capital projects that are in that report. If there's a specific projects, for now, what I can say is there's no red flag for the projects. They are progressing as we had planned them to progress. But more information was provided in the quarterly reports.
Maybe just to two projects near and dear to my heart: the in-service date for the bridge in 67, and also the airport runway resurfacing. I mean, I was going to ask.
To you, Mr. Mayor, for the bridges project, we had a meeting with the MTO for the cost sharing agreement, and we are going to see the agreement come from them for cost sharing in due time. As for the actual construction, the contractor is applying for permit for the warm window season with the MNR, seeing that is a short season, and we have asked the contractor to work for the timing windows for both this year and for next year for both the bridges to get the approval in one time instead of two separate applications. They have placed the order for the bridge. It's being fabricated and will be here hopefully by the end of September is what we have been told. So if all things work together, which hopefully they will, the bridge will be replaced in due time, which was planned for this year and for next year too. And the concession building and bridge will be done in time for us to receive that funding, which was committed by the MTO. That's for the bridges update. The update 12 and 1, 7. So the 6 and 7 will be done this year. By the end of September is we receive the bridge, they'll receive the bridge and they'll put it up. Right now it's with the fabrication company. They're fabricating the 6 and 7 bridge, which we will receive, which the contractor will receive at the end of September, and that gets implemented. The concession development on bridge is in design phases right now, which we will receive probably next year. But before time to get implemented for us to receive funding commitment from the ministry.
And just to clarify, I think the funding for the MTO, I think that was middle of June, if I'm right, June 15th or something.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Mayor, the commitment was made. We just have not seen the final agreement yet from the MTO, which is what we're going to be seeing in coming weeks as submitted by the MTO. In public training projects, I'm just going to answer for the road runway project for Mr. Ron. Sorry. Councilor Ron also asked about the airport runway project. So the RFP for that project was out and closed last Friday, but we did not receive any bids for that project.
What's what's plan B?
Plan B is to put that out again. Let's see if we can get any submissions study. We have reached out to the companies that were working on the bid just to ask why a submission was not made. And most of them mentioned that they were already occupied for this year's work by the dates.
That's disappointing because that's a we're counting on generating significant revenue with that when we be service the hopefully spending of August. So
And so we look forward to report on the October 14th meeting. Pardon? I look forward to report on the August 14th meeting, sorry. 14th? The 11th or 12th? Check. In August 11th. Yeah, so yes, the next meeting. Would that be required for both quarters or just quarter two? Pardon? Would that be required for both the quarters? I'm just suggesting that you're going back out to an RFP. I trust you have to report that the August 11th. Yeah. Anything else, Councilor?
no, that's
More than enough?
well, I could speak to the frustration of getting quotations, getting pay responses, but that's say that for another time.
Well, as a counselor or a counselor sitting at the table, you can make a motion to ask the CAO to provide a brief on what may be contributing to the lack of success on the RFPs that they've been done, or you can leave it. It's up to council to do any of that if you want.
So there was no submissions on the RFP whatsoever for the airport resurfacing.
That's right.
And they had no reason. None of the contractors had any reason saying that why they didn't submit.
They said, well,
It was just the one, yeah.
you said that they were busy.
All the contractors.
Most of them that came back to us with a response said that they were already occupied for this year.
Well, you can only do what you can do, sir. Thank you.
And where are we with the paving project while we're on subject? So with the paving project, it's the paving has been delayed because of two catch basins that were encountered to be almost crushed, which are being replaced right now. So the initial plan was to get the sections which were previously on gravel paved as of the middle of July, which has been pushed now to starting next week, provided we get those catch basins repaired before the crew starts here. I would like to note that the work has not stopped because now they are taking more sections to put on gravel so that when the paving crew is here, they can do more sections there. Concrete curbs are being installed and we are hoping to get all the sections which are now on gravel paved by the end of this month. So perhaps just a quick summary on what's under construction right now for paving and what's to come. Because you haven't, there are some streets we haven't started. That's correct. It's just give us a summary. Do you have that top of your head? I'm not yet. You have it. If I may, Mr. Mayor, we have a weekly update about what's getting done this week. Yeah. I don't have the total encapsulated report for what was done and what is to be done, but for the week of July 13th to 17th, the pulverizing 7th Street from 8th to 17th Avenues, which is being done, pulverizing 13th Avenue from 5th to 7th Street, and then fine grading all the granular streets, adjusting sanitary manhole frame covers, installing the pipe installing the catch basin on 3rd Avenue, which is being done, and then backfilling and grading driveways and boulevards and preparing for paving for next week. Yeah, what's done. And what hasn't been started yet on the list? So what's majorly has not been started of the bumps on Railway Street. That is to come. Yeah. But like I said, the work hasn't stopped because they're now getting the sections ready for paving. So mostly the work is going as they have planned it. It's just that on certain sections, we encounter catch basins that then have to be corrected, which delays them. I mean, for sure, Mr. Gomez, my questions aren't to chastise where we are. It's the public record. It's a public meeting. Just provide the public a bit of a snapshot on, where we are and what's to come. It's going to so we know the list. I believe you said in the report last week, saying the 11th still has to be done on part of 11th, the beginning part of the 5th. There were a couple of streets you said that were on, I can't recall them on your report, that's why I'm asking you. I reported last week, identified a couple of extra streets that we were looking for some of the extracurricular. You were saying was already part of the project. 11th was one. and someplace else can. I don't have that information right now, but I can provide more update. That was all in the quarterly report, but I can provide a detailed summary for this specific project at the next council meeting. Yeah, it would be over the orders, yourself and Mr. Long's to provide maybe a bit of a post on Facebook on, where we are and what's to come. Just keep the public up to speed. Yeah, great. Anyone else? And that item of operational report? So, Mr. Robert? Answer this week.
I just want to congratulate you for all the hard work you're doing. And it's nice to see so much action going on in town. Good job.
Good job. Okay. Anyone on that item?
No, I think, Worship, you raise a good point. Even a weekly little post on just a paragraph or two on social media to saying this is where we're at and this is what we've done. Just just something to keep the public informed, and
Yeah.
you can always turn off commenting on those kind of posts. For
CEO decide what resources he wants to deploy in terms of decision activities. So, you said you gave it? Any issues? No. Okay. All right. So 12.2 then, right? Sorry, which would be the rescoping of reservations and stuff.
No, Mr.
So 12.2 is the another addition to the agenda, which is rescoping of Second Street. And I also came from you, Mr. Ryan. You've been actively thinking pretty hard about this council.
Yeah. So through you, Mr. Worship, to CEO and to Mr. Gomez, we had extensive discussions on what to do about this project, and the decision was made not to do anything with those monies that were identified. But that kind of left the project itself in a bit of limbo. And so I'm just wondering if there's an appetite to have a discussion on whether if it would be appropriate, it would be beneficial to give direction to the department to go through the rescoping exercise and then issue an RFP so that we can have everything in line for the construction season first thing next year. Just so in my mind, we had decided not to do anything with these funds, but then we hadn't then completed the discussion in my mind as to okay, what's now happening with Second Street. Is that everything just on hold, waiting for the next round, or waiting for some response?
It's the rescoping. And that's when you were looking at perhaps rescoping. I agree with it. So to Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Rock, so there was discussions at council to reappropriate some of the funding towards their projects. Council received that information, but no decision was made. But also no decision otherwise has been made on what has to be done with the Second Street project as it is now. From the staff side, we received quotes from the consultant who's helping with this project just to make sure what they were required in terms of funding to rework the scope of that project for us. We have that quote that has been submitted to the CEO for review, and direction has been asked whether we're proceeding with that, with our consultants to rescope that project on that project.
Issue is also the timing of the funding. We won't know, even if we rescope it, spend some money and effort rescoping, which we are planning on doing, just to be clear for council and the public, so that we're poised and ready for 2027. The question will be, when do you want to issue that RFP in such a way that we don't want to waste bidders' time on a project that it could still be killed dead by the feds and the province this fall. Or we could see encouraging signs, and that would allow us to have more comfort to issue that RFP and be poised to not have a similar problem with bids and be able to develop in 2027. So it's all a question of timing and level of effort to do some rescoping so that we're poised and ready. And see what the funding, you're talking about this at AMO and lobbying share on this in August. So we'll see how it all pans together this fall. And spend some time rescoping, and then we'll have a shovel-ready project. Worst case scenario, we have a shovel-ready project for the next round. If they say no completely, if they say yes, you can rescope, and yes, you can extend the funding, then we'll be It's the ground like that.
So no new updates at this point. Councilor Nelson.
Yeah, just a question. I've worked in funding and agreements. You don't have money spent by a certain time. Sometimes it goes back. Can we put out the RFP, get somebody lined up, give them partial payment so that that funding portion is used?
To Mr. Mayor, so how the funding was committed for this project was this, so for the substantial completion to complete by the end of October. So we tried getting that done, but that was not done. So we have to make sure that the actual committed construction happens, which we couldn't get done, which is why we asked to rescope that project either for this year or for next year. We're completely at the mercy of the province, right? So we've had several years to get it done. They haven't got it done. We're at the point now where we're hoping they will provide an extension. If they don't provide an extension, that's what's creating the limbo that you guys are talking. Anything else? Anything else, Councilor?
Just thinking, like, we need to spend it. I know you said project needs to be completed, but can we buy what we need in order to have it started right, in the spring?
If I can, I think one of the complications is that they have to have substantial completion. That's what's holding us up here. Substantial completion would mean we've got the road torn up, we've got investments going in the road, and we're nowhere near that because we don't have a contractor. We don't know if the funding is going to be sufficient, which is what we're trying to deal with. I think what the town has expressed to us is they're trying to rescope the project to get done what they can. To your point, I think they're doing exactly what you're saying, but they still need confirmation from the funder that the funding. Make sense?
Thank you.
All right, Councilor Ryan.
Okay, so just to summarize then, we have quotations from our consultant to do the rescoping. And so I guess the decision is based on whether it's appropriate to spend those funds now in anticipation of getting the approvals or to wait until we have some indication from the funding sources that the rescoping will be something that they would entertain. And then at that point, we would still have enough time for the consultant to do the rescoping in order to get the RFPs on time. Is that kind of?
I think so, but I would defer to Mr. Gomez on the timing there. How long is it going to take if we even awarded the contract for rescoping tomorrow to an engineering firm? Is it a 3-month project or a 30-day project or what? What's the level of effort for those engineers?
So the quote for rescoping that project was received back in April, which is when we were thinking of putting that out as soon as possible. Seeing that has now delayed, has been delayed consistently now, we would have to reach back with our consultants and see what they propose for this project now. My best guess is that this would have to be deferred to next year with the rescoping in a way that this project have to be phased out. You rescope the project, you phase it out to save water and roads are getting done next year, and then sewers then the coming year is what I think what will happen with this project, considering we're so late in this year. Yeah. But in saying that, the level of effort that is going to be spent in rescoping that project will not go to waste, because if the funding agency approves our request to postpone the substantial completion, we will still be able to use the rescoping efforts and the tender package to get it appointed for next year construction.
Okay, so I guess, again, not to belabor the point. So the question is, do we spend the money with the consultant to do the rescoping? Like, do we give the go ahead now? So that all that work is done? According to Mr. Gomez, that work is not going to be wasted regardless. Or do we wait until we have a better sense of where the money's coming from and then do the rescoping? I guess that's kind of the question that I have, and I'm just wondering do we need to make that? Would it be beneficial to make that decision now or to?
Is the rescoping budget? Mr. Mayor, the rescoping came up as a change order from the consultant, so it was not budgeted as a part. It's not budgeted. It's not budgeted as a part of the project, but it's the change order was refined. And I believe the money that we're going to be spending is covered from the funding. No, we don't have the funding. The funding has been in place for 2 years now. So whatever we've been spending on that project, we've been getting back as part of the funding. All right, so there's no impact on the budget of doing the scoping. That is correct. Seemed pretty straightforward to me. You know, council, if I'm missing something. We spoken.
We also don't need council for this decision, depending on the scale. They're, we're doing this on the fly to a degree here, so, but, if it turns out that it's in the budget or it's doable in the budget, then chances are quite good I can award that.
It's a question, just to add to what you were saying, question that I think you hear from the council is, why haven't we rescoped and should we rescope? And what I've just asked for clarity is there's no financial impact. So the question, why haven't we rescoped? I guess that's what we see. I guess is there an easy answer? If there is, we can do it here tonight. If there's not, we can do it for the means. So part of the answer is because in previous council meetings, council was thinking of using that amount elsewhere, which is why we were not putting the effort in the scope that project. Now, last meeting, council did not provide any direction to reappropriate that, which is why we're working on rescoping again, reviewing the quotes again. Okay, so that was last meeting. So we've got a consultant in place. Is that what we've been doing since last meeting? We have had a consultant for this project for more than a year. So what have we been doing in terms of the rescoping? I guess we're asking since last meeting.
Did we get a fresh quote? No. Did we not? Is it place meetings for one? No, but we asked them for a revised quote for what it would cost to do the rescoping. That's right. Yes, and we just received that very recently. Okay. Okay, Councilor President.
And Sylvie.
I still am hard to believe that rescoping will not affect the budget. To rescope that job, it'll be expensive. So that money's got to come from somewhere. The engineer's going to start all over. So to say that it's not going to affect the budget, see how that will. Or did I miss something?
It's funding. There's funding for the engineering company for that project, which is what is going to cover that engineer or rescoping.
But the funding is there, but I'm trying to get to, there was so much money brought in for that, the initial contract. So if we're going to do a changeover or we're going to use that money, which we could use that money somewhere else if rescoping is going to cost money no matter what. And we're going to rescope when we're not sure that any of the funding is in place or going to be in place. I think we should defer this because if we have meetings, let's say in or something, maybe could straighten some of this out with some donations.
Okay, so just so we get ourselves back on track here, folks, this is not a council decision. The operation has the authority to rescope and spend the money and do that. What we've done here, and Councillor Reimer has asked simply for some status on where we are with these projects. And the question was, okay, why are you scoping if they're not going to do the extracurricular work that we were talking about the last council meeting? And the answer was, we are rescoping, we're working our way through the process and responding to data. So there'd be no impact on the budget. Our concern here would be if there's an unbudgeted request here that have an impact on the budget. So my understanding is you're working your way through the rescoping process. And just to answer your question at the end there, Councillor Mikoski, it's the right question. That's why I think Councillor Reimer was asking it, is if it's funded, it's not costing us anything, regardless of whether we're getting funding to the whole project. It's done and ready to go for when we do get the money to the project. And if we don't, it hasn't cost us anything. If we've done it and we get the money to the project, then the scoping is done in advance. It seems smooth for us to go into Second Street, perhaps even start it this year. Do some money. I think is what we're asking. Yeah. So, okay. That makes sense, though?
Yep.
Councillor Sharon, thank you for your patience.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. My recollection is that the decision was made not to spend the money, to put it in reserves, so that when we knew that the funds were available, that then we can proceed with the project. That was my understanding. I don't recall. I know part of it was gas tax that we get anyways, but correct me if I'm wrong, and I think Councillor Rakowski was the one who kind of led that discussion. The discussion was let's put it in reserves. That needs to be done. When the funding comes, that money will be there. But I don't recall saying, let's spend the money now. If the rescoping can be done internally, that's one thing. And I did hear Mr. Gomez say that you were going to proceed with it, or you were given direction to proceed. However, that's not how I recall the conversation. I remember the conversation being, let's put the funds in reserves, like a dedicated reserve. We had big discussions about dedicated reserves, or those funds are there to fix that road when the funding comes through.
Okay, so I've asked the clerk just to look up the resolution, and I think most of what you said is right on the money. There's one element that I'm not sure about, and I have a different recollection on what we talked about. So it was the extracurricular spending. It was talking about if we don't do Second Avenue this year, take that money and do other roads elsewhere, because we're going to have to do them at some point anyway this year or next year. And then when we had a discussion on that, Councillor Koski spoke to those items, and council wasn't comfortable spending that money on those other projects. However, where I left off, at least my mindset was, and the resolution can clarify that, is that ultimately, if we got the funding for Second Street, we would still proceed with Second Street. We just needed to rescope it. That's the nuance I have in terms of what we purchase. You have a resolution?
I do, Mr. Mayor. So there was no resolution passed and closed, just for the record.
Okay.
The resolution was open and it read as followed. Be it resolved that council receive report 2026-50 as information, and that this report satisfies a portion of resolution number 2026-17.
Well, that's helpful. Councillor Ryan.
Maybe I could have a little bit of clarity. My understanding is we have an envelope of funding applicable to this project. And as Mr. Gomez mentioned, as engineering, as work is being done, we submit claims and we get those reimbursed. That funding is not something that we can put in reserves. If they agree to extend it, they extend it. In the meantime, what I'm hearing today and previously is if we spend engineering money on rescoping, that's a legitimate expense to be claimed against that envelope of funding that's already in place. So that wouldn't be any ratepayer, any gas tax, anything like that. This would be established within the parameters of that funding. And so it's work that it's not out of the pocket for the town. It's work that needs to be done, and then we're ready to move forward.
Okay. So to close this up, okay, the Chairman Henry.
Well, it's just there's a couple of things that are being missed here. And it's the level of risk, and we need to take this offline and look at the math still, because none of this funding is 100% dollars. It's all 70%. So there's 30% of municipal dollars to leverage that money. And there is a worst case scenario where the funders could say, you were supposed to be substantially complete by October. So any of that money you spent, any of our money, the provincial and federal money that's been spent, but you didn't get the project done, they could just say, file that back and give that back to us, including the cost of rescoping. So that's a worry, of course. We're incurring more expenses that could not be reimbursed. Now, I think that's unlikely, but I have to do a little bit of due diligence on that.
So if you don't mind, Councillor Ryan, we'll close the conversation off on the fact that you're looking for a status update. The status is that we haven't heard back from the funders, and there's still many balls in the air in terms of what's going to be done with respect to Second Avenue. Very low probability that something will be done this year if funding does come through, and a higher probability that we're likely not going to hear from the funders, and it will be a 2027 project, hopefully with funding. Fair to wrap it up that way, Mr. Gomez? Okay. All right, with that, then we're good on those items, Councillor Reimer. Thank you for bringing the council's attention. I'll go to 12.14.
12.4?
Oh, sorry, 12.3. 12.3 would be, again, Councillor Reimer, and that was an update on the treasury. It's on this.
Thank you. So through you and to either the HR manager or the CEO, just wanted kind of an update as to what process is being is in place and kind of where we're at in the process. I don't want to know like any specific individuals or anything like that. Just kind of just a sense of a little bit of comfort as to what's the plan. Yeah, what's the plan? Yeah.
And is we've hired Waterhouse is given search to do the search. The posting is out now for the treasurer position. And it closes next Friday, the 24th. I spoke to the headhunter this morning and talked about the deputy treasurer because it doesn't seem to be posted in that succinct of a manner. And he did say we could post that within a day or two. He would typically recommend going for the higher level position and then seeing how it goes. But he may have been forgetting, and I didn't really zero in that there is a time pressure because council, CAO or council cannot hire a deputy treasurer or a treasurer after August 21st. So we have to make this decision pretty quickly and find a decent candidate or call them something else. I could remain treasurer for perpetuity and then just have somebody who's hired that could help with the horsepower to deliver the financial and the planning system. So that's the short story is job ad is out. Mr. Stungovich is knocking over rocks and such and getting there. And hopefully he finds us some candidates in time to seal the deal before the temporary solutions. I am hoping to onboard a temporary solution that will at least give us and the management team and the treasury team some input into the system, and I'm hoping days away. That's just a short-term fix, and I'm talking to other auditing firms to try to find a longer-term solution if one does have to out. Unfortunately, our own auditors, well, the rules and regulations have changed somewhat of having your own auditor helping with the finance, which is kind of straightforward and understandable, but also their team that they do have a limited amount of capacity. They had an issue and they had the capacity to disappear. And so with another conversation with another auditing firm, we also didn't end up with anything short term, but we are so. If HR manager has anything else to add, sorry if I screwed all that.
For me, I'm going to answer Councilor Rod. Yes, so the recruitment's still underway. Just as Dan said, the listing closes by July 24th, so we should know more about that.
Okay. Yeah, just a follow up. Would it? Yeah. I know we've been short staffed there. I'm just wondering what's appropriate discussion as far as looking for a deputy position as well, or we could leave that in the capable hands of the CEO, or
That can be directed any way we wish, but that's my plan. Yes. Especially after the news today that was reiterated to us that we do have the need to hire and first or call them something else and address it in some other way. But yeah.
Yeah, Deputy. Okay, any other questions, Council? Seeing none, thank you, everyone. We'll move on to item 14.1.
I'll read the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Be it resolved that council receive report 2026-53 from the Manager of Infrastructure Services regarding the RFP for Fournier landfill monitoring well repairs and hydrogeological study, and that the follow-up financial results of the RFP be considered in closed session with any resulting decision to be ratified by resolution in open session.
Okay, moved by Councilor Esposito.
Yes, Your Worship.
Second by Councilor Nelson.
Yes, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any takeaway from the department?
Just to note, Mr. Mayor, that this project was not brought in during the budget discussions. We only discovered about this project as a part of the yearly monitoring that we do at the landfill. For 2 consistent years, 3 of the monitoring wells were inaccessible, which was causing problems for us to report the appropriate conditions for the leachate that were placed to the groundwater, which is why this project is being brought forward just to make sure we are doing our due diligence for our solid waste management system.
Okay. Council? We didn't know this during budget time, I guess?
We did not have the report for this year at the budget time.
No indications, no signs, nothing? Okay, with that then, moved by Councilor Esposito, second by Councilor Nelson, all in favor? Carried, thank you very much.
Favor.
All right, 14.2.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that council receive report 2026-61 from the Manager of Infrastructure Services regarding the RFP for lighting retrofit at the water treatment plant and that the follow-up financial results of the RFP be considered in closed session with any resulting decision to be ratified by resolution in open session.
Okay, moved by Councillor Rakowski,
Yes.
second by Councillor Ryman.
Mr. Worship?
Okay, anything to ever take away from the department?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this project is about the lighting fixtures at water treatment plant, which are really old, and we're thinking of replacing them with energy efficient fixtures, which is why the RFP was posted and we had submissions.
Okay, council? Seeing none, moved by Councillor Rakowski, second by Councillor Reimer, all in favor? Carried, thank you very much. Okay, 14.3.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that council received report 2026-57 from the Office of the Social and Economic Development Manager as information, and that council approve the following requests for funding. 1, the golf club in the amount of, it's been purposely left blank. And 2, the Cochrane Curling Club in the amount of, it's been purposely left blank.
Okay, moved by Councillor Nelson,
Yes, Worship.
second by Councillor Rakowski.
Yes, sure.
Thank you. Anything to take away from the department?
Through your worship, so this is the annual community partnership program. It's been around for about 6 or 7 years. So we allocate $20,000 for service clubs or non-for-profits to apply. They had a deadline to apply earlier this year. And we've received these 2 submissions. League Golf Club in the request was asking for $10,000 to do various upgrades to their clubhouse. And the Cochrane Curling Club asked for $11,000, which is for some metal doors at the club. So again, it's at your discretion as to what you'd like to allocate part of this program. However, we do set aside $20,000 a year for it. Sometimes we have, last year, I think we had 6 submissions.
Just quickly before we go to council, inside the report that it says current budget for 2025 is 20,000. Is that typo? Is it 2026 we're speaking about?
Yes,
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's no crossover. So how much that 20,000 is used right now?
None, because it's specifically for this program.
Council? Councilor Nelson?
It's split.
Well, there's, the requests are different amounts.
$1,000 difference.
Hmm?
It's $1,000 difference.
It doesn't come to 20. Yep. Councilor Crossan?
Well, I agree with Councillor Nelson. We have 20 and we have only 2 submissions. Split the difference, 10 each.
Councilor Shannon? Sorry, go ahead.
Your
It's been
worship.
budgeted, so
Councilor Shannon?
Yes, thank you, worship. Rather than penalize just one, I would say why not split the difference and take 500 from each. And so go 95 and 10.5.
Okay, so perhaps what we can do, I'm going to suggest that we just provide the latitude to the department to work their way through that and allocate it as you see fit, but the resolution set up for two budgeted amounts. So what's the recommendation?
I mean, I would, I think 10 to 10 is sufficient, your worship. I mean, it's actually not, the currently up to 900 plus taxes, so that's why it came to 11.
Okay, anybody object to 10 and 10? Seeing none, that's what it is, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
And it was moved by Councillor Nelson, second by Councillor Rakowski, 10 and 10, all in favor?
Favor.
Thank you very much. Okay. The third bylaw. I'm sorry, the bylaw.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'll read the motion.
Thank you.
Be resolved that the following bylaws be read a first, second, and third time, and subsequently passed this 14th day of July 2026. Bylaw 2026-61, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Rainy Papineau. Bylaw 2026-62, being a bylaw to adopt the operating and capital water and wastewater 2026 budget. Bylaw 2026-63, being a bylaw to adopt a schedule of user fees and service charges for the town of Cochrane.
Okay, and we'll note that Councillor Shannon, you did declare a conflict and she's left the meeting.
I have not left.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the chair. It was empty.
I'm going to, it's empty. I'm going to close my video and turn off the microphone. And so I don't know how this works, your worship. I need to declare on 15.2. So do we need to split it out?
We could. you could ask for that. It's a commit, so it's a confirmatory bylaw. You could always ask to come to pull anything if you want.
Yes, so I would like to request that 15.2 be a standalone item so that I can vote on the confirmatory for 15.1, 15, and 15.3, and then declare on the 15.2.
Yep, any seconder for that? Councillor Nelson? Any objection from council? Seeing none, so the confirmatory bylaw is now for 15.1 and 15.3 as read by the clerk. Okay, and that was moved by,
Oh, I don't have a mover in a
okay,
second.
moved by Councillor Reimer, second by Councillor Esposito. Okay, all in favor? Carried, thank you very much. We handle item,
Yes.
2026-62.
Yes, I'll just wait for the paperwork and I'll handle it, Mr. Mayor. So can I read the motion, Mr.
Of
Mayor?
course,
Be resolved that bylaw number 2026-62, being a bylaw to adopt the operating and capital water and wastewater budget, be read a first, second, and third time and finally pass this 14th day of July, 2026.
okay, can you declare a conflict, Madam Chair Lemon?
I am.
Yep. Okay, that's moved by Councillor Nelson, second by Councillor Rakowski. Calling for any public input upon first reading, seeing none. Calling for any changes from council upon second reading. Seeing none upon first, second, and third reading, moved by Councillor Nelson, second by Councillor Rakowski. All in favor? Carried, thank you very much. Okay, somebody can inform Councillor Shannon.
I'm
Are you
back. I
there?
just closed my video and volume.
Yeah.
It's public anyway, so as long as I'm not visible or
Okay.
voting.
Moving to closed.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll read the motion.
Thank you.
Be resolved that council of the corporation of the town of Cochrane now come into a portion of the meeting that shall be closed to the public at 7:06 p.m. in accordance with section 239 subsection 2 clauses B, D, E, and K of the Municipal Act to discuss the following. In-camera draft meeting minutes held on June 4th, 2026, June 23rd, 2026, and June 30th, 2026. A trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization. This is regarding results of the RFP 2026-09 Forney and landfill monitoring well repairs and hydrogeological study, and results of RFP 2026-10 lighting retrofit of the water treatment plant. Litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board regarding a demand letter from previous staff member. A position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board regarding doctor recruitment initiatives. And the final item is personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and labor relations or employee negotiations regarding a report from former contract CAO related to circumstances surrounding the conclusion of his employment.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Reimer, second by Councillor Rakowski.
Yes.
All in favor? Carried, thank you very much.
I will leave you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk,
See you guys.
I will send
Have a
you a
good night.
text, Madam Clerk. Please check your texts. Good night.
Night.
They must be so disappointed. Okay.
Why?
Why?
Because we're done now?
Doesn't open.
I like
Okay,
those.
so motion to rise.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that council returns to its regular council meeting at 8:17 PM. And that council do now rise and report on the matters discussed. The closed session was held in accordance with section 239 subsection 2, clauses B, D, E, and K of the Municipal Act to discuss the following. In-camera meeting minutes held on June 4th, June 23rd, and June 30th, 2026. Results of RFP 2026-09 Fournier landfill monitoring well repairs and hydrogeological study. And results of RFP 2026-10 lighting retrofit at the water treatment plant. A demand letter from a previous staff member. Doctor recruitment initiatives. And item number 5, which was the report from a former contract CAO, was deleted in closed session.
Okay, moved by Councilor Brown. Second by Councilor Foskey.
Yes, Your Worship.
Favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Clerk, any motions, Madam Clerk?
There are 2 motions arising from closed, Mr. Mayor. Can I read the first one?
Of course.
Be resolved that the corporation of the town of Cochrane enter into a contract with Pension Limited in the amount of $35,603, excluding HST, for the completion of the Fournier landfill monitoring well repairs and hydrogeological study. And that council authorized the reallocation of $35,603 from the approval landfill expansion capital project to fund the completion of this project. And finally, that the contract be brought forward at a subsequent council meeting for ratification.
Okay, moved by Councilor Rouse.
Yes.
Second by Councilor Nelson.
Yes, Your Worship.
Any final comments? Favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Can I read the next motion, Mr. Mayor?
Please.
Be resolved that the corporation of the town of Cochrane enter into a contract with Civil Electric Incorporated in the amount of $59,285, excluding HST, for the lighting retrofit at the water treatment plant, and that the contract be brought forward at a subsequent council meeting for ratification.
Moved by Councilor Escondido.
Yes, Your Worship.
Second by Councilor Reimer.
Yes, Your Worship.
Any final discussion? Favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Adjourn. It's been another motion.
Know that I have the motion to adjourn in front of me.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that this regular council meeting is hereby adjourned at 8:20 PM.
Okay, moved by Councilor Koski.
Yes, Your
Second by
Worship.
Councilor Escondido.
Yes, you
All in favor?